Scott was leaning into the corner of the couch, laptop balanced on his knee, tapping with the steady rhythm of someone searching for something they haven't yet found but do believe is out there. The room was dim except for the lamp pooling light over us, the kind of light that makes everything feel more certain than it really is. And we'd been at it for hours. The kind of conversation that wanders and circles back, then stretches with quiet where you hear nothing but the hum of the fridge and the soft clink of a teaspoon against a mug. Now and then, one of us would shift, sending a small squeak through the couch cushions, the sound you always think you'll fix but never quite do. I was explaining why the name mattered, not as a label, but as the spine of the whole thing. I wanted a word that could hold the feeling of being filled with spirit, the joy of following what lights you up, and the quiet strength of knowing you're in collaboration with something bigger. A word that hinted at inspiration but carried grit, the will to keep showing up when no one's watching. Scott nodded in the way he does, patient and steady, while his eyes stayed on the screen. I threw words out into the air in rapid-fire succession, barely able to keep up with my own thoughts. In spirit, infused with joy, the kind of presence that's like oxygen for other people's dreams. He typed, searched, taken. Tried again, taken. This went on for a while, until he laughed, then looked up over the top of his laptop, half grinning, and said, "What about making one up?" If you've known me for any length of time, you know that making up words is practically a native tongue of mine. People do say I speak my own language, and yeah, sometimes it makes sense. So we started stitching syllables together, testing how they felt when spoken out loud. Until finally, Inspiritude rolled out between us. No, it wasn't in the dictionary, but it felt like it'd been waiting there for years, tucked away like a gift you forgot you'd hidden. And I remember thinking, this is it. This is the spark. Welcome to the Inspiritude Effect, the podcast where spirit meets story and dreams really do come true. I'm your host, Kathy Sherwood, and around here, we talk about transformation in every form. Spiritual nudges, reinventions, purpose, money, relationships, and everything to help make a fantastic life. Sometimes it's just me. Sometimes we bring in guests and co-hosts with their own kind of magic. But every time, it's a place to come back to yourself. So let's begin. Now that was over 4 years ago. Since then, I've tried to bring Inspiritude into the world in a few different ways, each attempt teaching me something, even if it didn't fully land. A workshop series here, a collaboration there, the kind of projects you invest in like you're planting heirloom seeds and then find out they were maybe planted in the wrong season. The seedlings didn't grow, but they weren't wasted. The soil now is richer for having tried, and the ember of that first spark never went out. So now, the podcast. This version feels right now. Like it's been here all along, waiting for me just to circle back and give it some air. The truth is, Inspiritude didn't begin with a business plan. It began in places quiet enough to hear your own breath. I've been following a spiritual and personal growth path for over 30 years, and for much of that time, my spiritual life was something I practiced without announcing. Like early mornings with a candle flickering in the half-light, steam curling from a cup of coffee while I scribbled gratitude on the back of yesterday's receipt. If anyone else was up that early, they'd find me wrapped in a blanket like some kind of modern-day oracle, except I had to still unload the dishwasher afterward. It was private, not because I doubted it, but because I didn't have a place for it in casual conversation. Like you don't work, I did a moon ceremony last night into a chat about property taxes. But over time, the things I asked for began to appear. The call came, the opportunity landed, and the miracle money appeared. I'd speak something aloud, and there it was, waiting. And with it, a deeper desire began to take shape, to help people create more joy, love, success in their own lives in the same spiritually aligned ways that I'd been doing. So to bring my spiritual self out of the shadows and show what was possible. If I could do it, surely others could do. A big shift came when I found myself in a community where ordinary people were doing extraordinary things. Things that, say, a year before would have sounded impossible to them. A woman I knew walked away from a career that was draining her and opened a bakery she'd dreamed of since she was a child. A man picked up the phone and rebuilt a relationship with his brother after decades of silence. Against all odds, a woman moved herself out of an abusive situation and created a life that others envied. So people reclaimed lost parts of themselves and stood up for their best lives. I'd sit there listening, thinking, if only more people could hear this. Not the polished, after-the-fact version, but the living, breathing truth of it. And that's when I started picturing it. 2 high-backed leather chairs in front of a fireplace, a library wall behind us stacked with the kind of books that smell kind of like history and full of intellect. The fire crackling between us while someone tells their story. And together, we pull apart the threads of how it should have been done, not to find the right way, but to show that your way, the one that is yours alone, is the one worth following. And when I picture it now, I can almost hear that soft squeak of the chair beneath the cushion, the same kind that would have answered us on the couch that first night. When I stepped forward with my own spiritual work, I was excited to finally share my learnings with others. I'd had many years of business experience and lots of personal success, and I wanted to get it out there to help other people live their best lives too. But I was brand new to the online business world, and I very quickly discovered that there were doors you couldn't walk through without the right keys. The application forms asked for numbers, minimum number of followers, how many people on the email lists, what are your website rankings? I didn't have those things, so I wasn't invited to take a seat at the table. I had a heart to serve, for sure, but no Instagram account. I was successfully coaching individuals to create their dreams, but I had no website. By the usual rules of the game, that meant I didn't count. So I decided to create my own rules and do it my way. But I saw it happening to others too. People with gifts that could change lives, standing at the edge of the room, overlooked because they didn't speak in metrics. It made me want to build something different for their sake. And even in spiritual spaces, the kind I'd expected to be more aligned and trusting and generous and soulful, I sometimes found an unspoken rule book there too. Follow this formula, use these words, keep your dreams inside this limited size. I worked with people who taught abundance, but guarded their clients like there weren't enough to go around. I watched systems I'd created reappear under someone else's name. I understood it. Fear has many disguises, even in spiritual spaces. People are human. And I never wanted to build a space that relied on perfection. I wanted one where we could be both gifted and flawed, generous and learning, masterpieces and works in progress all at once. Over the years, I'd also noticed another pattern. There were so many voices in the space, often well-meaning, claiming to have the one true way. So the message was pretty clear. Follow their exact steps, in their exact order, or risk failure. And while I understood that their methods might have worked well for them, it didn't sit right with me that other paths were dismissed before they'd even been tried. I've never really believed that there's only one road to success anyway, and that anyone else could possibly know the exact shape of your dream better than you can. What I do believe is that the wisdom we each carry, from the lived experiences, the quirks, the quiet talents, that's really the thing that will guide us to where we're meant to go. And that's the heart of Inspiritude. It's not about one person holding the map. It's a collaboration. A gathering place that showcases each person's gifts, helps them shine their light, and celebrates their successes along the way. A space where we get to inspire each other, learn from each other, and know we're not in it alone. Which brings me back to the couch. By the time Inspiritude appeared on Scott's screen, I could see the whole thing. Not actually in detail, but in feeling. A place where seekers and teachers could sit in those comfy chairs by the fire, where the conversations would be real, generous, sometimes messy, but always grounded in the belief that no one gets left out, and in the quiet certainty that anything is possible. And I think of that lamp from 4 years ago, the one casting a small pool of light on the couch, and how it looked like it was holding the idea for us until we were ready to take it. The way a spark sits inside kindling, waiting for the right breath to bring it to flame. Yeah, it's been 4 years since that night. The attempts along the way didn't fail. They cleared the path. Every closed door showed me another way around. Every not yet pushed me to find the next step. And that's really what this is, basically, the next step. Inspiritude is the spirit you bring to living. The attitude that joy isn't the finish line, but it's how you actually run the race. It's knowing that collaboration lifts far more than competition ever will. So here we are, at the start of this version. I don't know every turn the road will take, but I know we'll walk it in good company, with room for everyone to tell their story along the way. And maybe somewhere down the road, we'll be those two people in the leather chairs, the fire between us, swapping stories while the chairs quietly squeak their agreement. The same fire that was lit years ago, still burning, still ready to catch the next spark. This is the Inspiritude Effect, and I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for tuning in to the Inspiritude Effect. If this sparked something in you and you'd like to come hang out for more inspiring conversations, hit follow and share it with someone who would benefit from walking their own inspired path. In the show notes of each episode, you'll find links to aligned resources and content that will keep you moving toward your best life. And remember, the whisper is never random. Let it lead. You belong where it's taken you.